So I live in Oakland, and one day I was, last fall, I was sitting in the Oakland Hills, overlooking the city, overlooking the whole bay, and it was beautiful. And I was surrounded by this grove of trees, of oak trees, and I was thinking about the city I live in, the city I'm from DC on the East Coast, and I've lived in cities my whole life. And I don't spend that much time in nature and with trees. And I was thinking about what it means to find home on this planet Earth. And also what it means to find home on a planet of so much violence, in a city that has been plagued by violence, and in a family that has had, like many of our families, had our own share of issues, you could say. And what were some of the connections? So I wrote this poem, trying to figure it out, because that's, like Stephanie said, it comes from not just the anger and the pain, but just the poems come from the questions. The art comes from the questions. And so I wrote this poem, and it's called The Tree Hugger. Any tree huggers out here? Yeah. Cool. I hope you still shout out after this piece. His skin is brown, limbs long, he is lanky like me, but still. Strong arms, thick spine, he is an oak, tree rooted in the town. Find him from lower bottoms to top of the hills. From Berkeley borders to deep east, he is a tree, and we have never spoke. Clapped hands, dapped it up, I barely look him in the eye. I remember the first time someone asked me to hug a tree. DC, 10th grade, field trip for all the city kids, all boys, took us all the way past the suburbs to the mystical land of West Virginia. Appalachia, the land of miners and mountains, Union bumper stickers and Confederate flags, poor white folks in the richest forest my greedy eyes had ever seen. I used to love climbing trees. Used to race my pops to the top like we were running from the cops, which he was. Sometimes. But no sirens singing out here in coal country. Just pines and firs and miles of oaks. Thick, brown, and beautiful, with green goatees and high top fades like Will Smith from the 80s. 80s again. Hiking through the woods in our oversized Timbs that actually made sense for once, we finally reach a green meadow, and in the middle, a single giant oak. There it is, right there. And Mr. Jeffries, biology teacher in khakis and a comb over, says, "All right, boys, one by one, I want everyone to go hug that tree." What? Are you crazy? 20 pairs of male eyes shot back at him. Do you see any tie-dye on this shirt? Did perfectly groomed dreadlocks suddenly bloom out of my Rasta hat? I'm not hugging no tree. You hug the fucking tree. Remember, this was 10th grade. I'm 19 and a half now. Before he left, my pops didn't beat me. He didn't raise a drunken fist. He didn't swing a leather belt. He didn't find a new use for a waffle iron or phone book. He never did any of that. Never touched me at all. There was no high five after I made varsity as a freshman. No bear hug when grandma's diabetes took over. No steady hand on my shoulder when Chris got locked up and said, "It's gonna be okay, son." My father is a good man. His hands as big and strong as his heart. He was just never taught how to use either of them. And in Oakland, in the city that I live, men walk by each other with eyes averted. We'd rather look at the pavement than another dude. Pretend not to see how dark his bark is than get caught up in the roots. Scared that behind every tree is a trap. A noose waiting to be wrapped around my limbs. A 45 hidden between the leaves. We are men of hard wood. Hard hoods. Locally grown in the town. We are the freshest. The most organic, but we chop each other down in our primes. Young oaks turn stumps decades before our time. It seems like the only time I look a man in the eye is when he's lying in a wooden box, about to be buried 6 rings under the earth. Like roots in concrete, blood in virgin soil. We should not be here. He should not be here, confined to this timber casket, buried in his own flesh. And now, I see him again, standing there, tall, lanky, alone, on the corner of 19th and Foothill, his eyes ancient but accurate, like they could see right through me, which they do. So I walk up quietly, look around to make sure no one is watching. Step up till my nose is inches from his. And I want to hold him tight, like a baseball glove, like a firm grip, like a leather belt in a father's hand. And maybe he is wishing the same, but I can't hear his whisper over the chaos of this city. All I hear is the question, chainsawing its way through my brain as we stand here, staring at each other. 2 trees on a lonely corner in Oakland. Tell me, who will reach out first? Thank you.